So on Monday we were over in Homestown actually. We had some appointments and stuff that way, so we were coming back and it was getting dark. It was like 5 or 5:30, so it was getting dark out. And actually Homestown was sort of, most of the houses were like really dark. And then I can't remember exactly where it was. All of a sudden there was this one house, had all the lights lit up, right? Totally lit up, all these Christmas lights. Now, granted, Monday was before Thanksgiving, and this is a little pet peeve of ours, that you're not supposed to turn on your lights until Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving. But still, it looked nice. And that's part of it, isn't it? I mean, Christmas decorations, we like them because aesthetically they're pleasing, right? They look nice. And yet, there's a lot of meaning behind all these decorations. And what we're going to do as we go through Advent is we're going to look at what's the meaning behind some decoration. We might not even have thought about this, but behind some very common Christmas decorations. Today we're going to talk about the wreath. And each of these meanings is not just going to, okay, now we know what the meaning is. It's going to help us. It's going to help us have hope and peace and joy and love. So that's what we're going to see as we go through the next four weeks. So one of the problems, obviously, we face in this world is there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of hope. We're going to start there. There does not seem to be a whole lot of hope. A lot of people live in fear and anxiety and worry. Why? Because they're worried about what's going to happen. They're worried what's going to happen in the world. Because what does the future hold? Well, we're worried. And I know why we're worried, because nothing seems to be trending in the right direction. We can look at almost anything, and it almost looks like it's going the wrong way. So, for instance, we can look at our own bodies and say, we're going downhill, not uphill, right? We were reminded of this, twice we were reminded of this past week. With Carol, we were reminded of this because she was having some problems with her knees, so we went in to see the doctor on Monday. That was one of the things we were out and about doing on Monday. And the doctor, and they took an x-ray, and they came back and said, well, guess what? You have mild to moderate arthritis in both knees, so getting arthritis in the knees. And I was reminded on Thursday, which was Thanksgiving Day, I have to set the scene for you. The annual family football game. Okay? So, and it was really small this year. It was 2 against 2, but still, it didn't matter. It's still important, especially because it was me and my brother, the old guys, versus my 2 nephews, the young guys, and we had to teach them a lesson, right? So the game is tied, 7-7. The game is tied, and we have the ball, and my brother's quarterbacking, and I come up with this great play, and I'm going to run straight at my nephew. I'm going to do this juke step, and I'm going to go flying past him. As soon as I go flying past him, my brother's going to throw the ball, boom, touchdown. So perfect play. So I go out, I do my juke, and all of a sudden, pain, and I'm on the ground. And it's like, oh my gosh, what did I do? And I pulled a muscle down there. And the game was over. We didn't lose. The old guys, hey, we tied because we couldn't play anymore because I was done. But it's just a reminder. And if that's not a reminder, it's a reminder that in a few months I turned 60. 60. So in the early service, we said, oh, you're not old. Yeah, according to Weezy, you are, but of course not. But you see, our bodies are trending. So we think, right, next year is going to be worse. The year after that's going to be worse. The world is trending in the wrong direction, or so it seems to me. I remember when I was a kid, growing up in the 60s and even the early 70s, at least in our neighborhood, maybe we were sort of sheltered. But, you know, just growing up, and I don't remember all this division growing up. In fact, I remember there must have been a presidential election when I was in Boy Scouts, and I remember the Scoutmaster. I clearly remember him saying, you know, he said, when we go to elect a president, we may disagree who we want to be president, but once we elect a president, we all support it. Not anymore. Not anymore. We get into our different camps and we yell and we argue and we throw words at each other and, you know, whatever. You know, and I think part of what that was when I was growing up was, I just honestly think our values and our beliefs were very similar. I mean, some of us were Catholic, some were Protestant. In my neighborhood, that didn't matter. We didn't care, you know. But I think just even beyond that, a lot of beliefs, a lot of similarity, and we were pretty close that way. And of course, it's not that way anymore. We see the way the world is going, and then even Christianity is struggling, and you know, people, attendance in church and that sort of thing. Oh, I was going to ask, you see, the thing is, since we're filming, you know, the sermon for YouTube, maybe you can do this next week. I was going to ask some people to sit further up front, because so they can see the back of your heads, because from the sort of that angle, it looks like I'm talking to an empty church, you know. So anyways, and if you want the back of your head to be on YouTube, yeah, come sit up further front, and from here, Frank, is anybody, or is it just me, or no?
Just you.
Just me. You see, no, it just looks like empty pews. So, anyways, but that's a problem in the church, right? It just seems like all churches are having that problem. Church attendance, and then the church seems to be attacked from different quarters, and it looks like things are getting worse. So therefore we just, we're worried about what's going to happen. Because our bodies are trending in the wrong direction, the world's trending in the wrong direction, it almost seems like our faith is trending in the wrong direction. So we lose hope. And then we hang a wreath. And the wreath reminds us that God is eternal. The wreath reminds us that God is eternal. Why? Well, because first of all, it's a circle. It has no beginning or end. If I draw a line, I can start at one point and I finish, right? There's a beginning or end. Even if I draw a square, right? I'm going to start with one of the corners. I'm not going to start with part of the straight side. Draw a square, you always start with one of the corners. Well, where does a circle begin and end? It just seems to keep on going and going. There's no beginning and end to a circle, no beginning and end to a wreath as it goes around and around. But the other thing about wreaths is they're evergreen. Now, these wreaths in our sanctuary are evergreen because they're fake. They're painted green. But beside that fact, you know, we do know that there's evergreens. That even during the winter, it's green. And green is a sign of life. So when we put all this together, what this really says about God is this. One thing, God has no beginning and no end. As far back as you want to go, as far forward as you want to go, God is there. He has no beginning and no end. And the other thing is God is evergreen, so to speak. What do I mean? I mean God is constant. God is constant. He does not change. Isaiah 40, verse 28 says, "Have you not known, have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth." God doesn't have a bad day. I'm tempted to think that perhaps that God had a bad day when he made mosquitoes, and that was a mistake. I'm tempted. But I know God never changes. He doesn't have bad days, so the mosquito is part of his plan somewhere, somehow. And we just have to sort of accept that. But he never changes. He's always there. And he never changes. If we look in, Micah 5:2 is a passage that's often used during Christmas time because it reminds us Jesus not only came from Bethlehem, it helps fulfill the prophecy. But there's another part to this we tend to miss. But you, O Bethlehem of Ephrathah, who are one of the little clans of Judah, from you shall come forth for me one who is to rule in Israel, whose origin is from of old, from ancient days. So even when we talk about Jesus, Jesus is from what? From ancient days. Jesus is eternal as well. And not only is Jesus eternal, Jesus is constant too. Hebrews 13:8 puts it this way: Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. They're constant. So that brings us to this most important point, and that is this. The eternality of God gives us hope. The fact that God's eternal, it gives us hope. Because there's at least two things this means. Right? One, God is with us. God's always with us. He's eternal. God is always there. And he is always with us. Continue in verse 29 of Isaiah 40. He gives power to the faint, and he strengthens the powerless. Even youths will faint and be weary, and the young will fall exhausted. But those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Our God will walk with us. Will walk with us. God is with us. We're going to sing here just shortly. O come, Emmanuel. Emmanuel means God is with us. He will be with us. We have hope. No matter what the trend looks like, because God is with us. The other reason, the second reason we have hope is because God will come again. God will come again. Revelation 21 reminds us of this. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, see, the home of God is among mortals. He will dwell with them. They will be his peoples, and God himself will be with them. Listen to this part. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. Death will be no more. Mourning and crying and pain will be no more. For the first things have passed away. See, what this is really saying is, even though everything in this world seems to be trending in the wrong direction, God's one day going to say, stop it. Stop. And he's going to step in, and he's going to make it better. He's going to change everything. You see, I tend to think we have an incomplete idea of what's going to happen in the future. Most of us think, okay, we're going to die sometime in the future, and we're going to go to heaven and spend time in heaven. Or, if Jesus comes back first, Jesus is going to take us to heaven. Very possibly true. But you know what Revelation says? God has a much bigger plan than just taking us to heaven. He's going to remake not only heaven, He's going to remake this earth. So that maybe we will be living right here, but there will be no pain, there will be no sorrow, there will be no earthquakes, there will be nothing like that. Because God's going to step in and say enough. One day He's going to say enough. And that's what gives us hope. It gives me hope. Many churches do services this time of the year called Blue Christmas. And really what it's for is those who have recently lost loved ones. And our church has been through that. We've lost several people recently in our church. It's a time for people who Christmas is now a difficult time because they miss their loved ones so very much. And that's very true, this sort of Blue Christmas idea. But Christmas is also the reason why we have hope. Christmas is also the reason why we can overcome a Blue Christmas. Because there's hope. Because Jesus came to be with us. And when Jesus ascended into heaven, He left His Holy Spirit to be with us. God is with us. And not only is God with us, one day He's going to say, enough! And He's going to step in and make everything right. And do you believe we get all that whenever we see a wreath? Next time you see a wreath, just remember what it's really saying. God is with us eternally. And one day He's going to make everything right. Amen.